Hey, have you been feeling distinctly poorer lately? Yeah, me too. I think we all have. Whether you're a modest earner, mid-level or high earner, we all tend to live up to a level which our salaries can afford. But then no one expected the Tories to renege on the commitments they made in 2019 by raising the tax burden to a 70-year high and implementing some of the most unconservative policies we've ever seen, certainly in my lifetime. Jeremy Hunt was, of course, brought in following the Liz Truss debacle to provide a return to economic prudence. And the outcome is that Mr. Hunt has pursued an agenda which has ensured that the country has suffered a lot longer than it needed to. Mr. Hunt's principles of sound money have left a palpable sense of disillusionment in our constituency, and Britain as a whole has been left stagnating on the world stage. It's really an attack on aspiration, which leaves us languishing behind other economies for the next probably 2 decades. So let's ask ourselves, what did the Tories do with that 80-seat majority? Well, on income tax, when incomes rise but tax thresholds are maintained at the same level, taxpayers and pensioners move into higher tax bands and end up paying more tax. This is intentional and it's called fiscal drag. It puts more money into the Treasury without having to publicly raise taxes. The OBR estimates that the Chancellor's decision to freeze the personal allowances and higher rate tax thresholds would increase the government's tax receipts by over 34 billion a year by 2028. This is known as a stealth tax increase. Oh, and if you're a higher tax earner, lots of people in this area are, we've got an effective 60% rate that applies on incomes between 100,000 and 125,000 because of the tapering of the tax-free personal allowance. What else? Frozen allowances on inheritance tax and an insanely complex set of rules for passing on your home to dependents. The dividend tax increased by 1.25 percentage points, affecting individuals who receive income from shares and other investments. The pension lifetime allowance, now removed, I think it was April 2023, but what an unconservative tax that was. I'm sure that most pensioners have a longer memory than Mr. Hunt does. Beyond tax, obviously we've got the massive public debt escalation. Of course, Mr. Hunt will cry pandemic, tell us about the 400 billion that cost, but public debt was ballooning anyway, and it now stands at 2.7 trillion. Why weren't those pandemic borrowings locked in? Interest rates are manageable when they're low, but now with higher interest payments, there's a lot less fiscal space for productive investments. And guess what? The Tories are still spending. Labour and the Libs and all the other parties are going to take us further into the red. The list goes on, basically. Meanwhile, Jeremy Hunt's smiling. He's not going to suffer too badly, whatever happens on the 4th of July, but he is looking for your vote again. Don't cave into the pressure and don't give Labour or the Libs your vote either. If you're feeling poor now, you'll be brassic by the time they're through with you. The Centre for Economics and Business Research warned that the jump in Britain's tax burden, which is set to climb to a peacetime high this year, will inflict long-term damage and derail growth that would have seen us effectively overtake Germany. Reform are the only party who aim to genuinely cut waste in the public sector. We're going to slash foreign aid budget to prioritise UK tax-paying citizens first. We're going to raise income tax thresholds to put more money in your pocket, scrap VAT on energy bills, lower fuel duty by 20p per litre, and dispense with dishonest environmental levies. Remember, if you want reform, you've got to vote for it. My name's Drage, the only rational alternative to Jeremy Hunt on the 4th of July. Think of me as Jeremy's 5-year snooze button while you try to catch up financially and put some money in the bank.